Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our morning edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars live feed spoilers. This is day 16. Eviction day is upon us, and I gotta say, it was at least a much more active past 48 hours than I was expecting after the veto ceremony.
Yeah, it was. Nicole Anthony is trying to work some magic.
She's trying to figure things out, but has she figured things out a good 3 or 4 days too late?
It's too late.
Well, we'll get into everything that happened overnight because there was a lot that went down. But before we get into any of it, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store and also our Patreon, where we have live chats the last Sunday of every month. The first one there is closing in rapidly.
Yeah, and we are going to have some more live chats here on YouTube. It's just if you've been following us, our AC has been broken. So usually when we want to do these live chats, it is a million degrees in here. We are going to have more here at the channel as well. But yes, we are 100% locked into having the one over at the Patreon.
Yeah, so there's more live stuff coming, and certainly there's always going to be a lot of things for all of us to collectively discuss,
Yeah.
including the quest for Nicole Anthony to try to figure something out this week.
Yeah, it just feels a little bit too late. I mean, everyone in the house is feeling kind of like they're kind of willing to throw her the vote if so-and-so does and so-and-so does, and everybody's kind of put themselves in that same position where it's like, oh, well, if you can get the rest of the votes, then you have mine. But because like everybody's saying this, really nobody's giving them anything, which is basically, it's just a big no.
The biggest problem, I think, with all of this is simply that there's not enough trust and unity built up among this other group, and all of them hold a certain degree of responsibility for this. Like, Janelle and Kaser, they're responsible for this in that they have put too much trust in somebody in Memphis who has already sort of screwed them over with nominating Nicole Anthony, which caused a lot of this problem in the first place.
Yeah. And they're in this type of situation where Memphis is kind of doing the same thing to them, where he's kind of like, yeah, I could vote to keep her if I'm the tiebreaker kind of thing. Like, I think they're just putting too much into that idea that he's being truthful. Where, again, I think he thinks it's just not going to come to that. So, sure, you want a pony? I'll give you a pony.
Yeah, he's totally doing the, dad on a birthday party when he realizes that he's never going to be in a situation where he actually has to go to the dude ranch and pick up the pony.
That's right.
It is like with Nicole Anthony, her big problem is because she spent the past several days bashing Janelle and just like on loop for a lot of the stuff that's gone down. Now it's hard for her to recruit a lot of numbers when there's so much distrust out there in Janelle and Kaser. It's really like, well, why are we really going to want to work with them? A lot of the house is against them.
Yeah, I think in general, there really wasn't a lot that Nicole Anthony was going to be able to do to get out of this. The only thing, and I've been sort of on my soapbox about this, that I think she could have possibly done is offered herself up as a spy. But because David is so close to Tyler, and that means that he's then also insulated kind of by Christmas in some ways, because I mean, those two are really close, I just don't think David's going.
And that is another big issue here in that for some reason, all of these people, the Janelles and Kasers and Kevins, that part of things is unified a little bit because we know for a while, it's ironic given that the premiere of Lucifer is coming to Netflix tomorrow, because I'm pretty sure that Kevin thought Janelle was Lucifer for a good while, but it's sort of like, since Nicole Anthony started to see the light and realized, oh, I shouldn't actually be trying to destroy Janelle and Kaser all the time, Kevin's kind of come on board with them, but Christmas, she was never with you guys. You guys kept assuming that she would be with you. They put way too much stock in her as a potential number here.
I think one of the reasons that probably is because Christmas decided with their safety suite to pick Ian. It was such a wild card pick that I don't think anyone really saw coming, which is why she did it, that it's put her in this kind of interesting good spot where the other side thinks that they can maybe get her, which gives her a little bit of information, and they don't necessarily think she's working with everybody.
And that sets the stage for... I wish I had a really cool name for this meeting that happened. I'm just going to call it the meeting of the minds, because there's a lot of minds.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yes, our minds are in sync. This happens more than you would think. But okay, so what I think ends up happening here is that Kaser's got this idea, because everybody is kind of constantly telling him and Janelle, oh, I'll do it if these other people do it. And I think over time, you're just like, well, let's just get everybody in a darn room already and just, get everybody to force their hand. So they got Janelle, Kaser, Davon, Bailey, Christmas, Kevin, Nicole Anthony, all of these people finally descend in one room together very, very, very late overnight to try to make something happen, but does it?
No, I mean, everybody was still kind of being just a little sketchy about it because, I mean, really everybody, I mean, besides Kevin, really, Davon and Bailey have other sort of sub-alliances that aren't them. Like, they haven't really 100% solidified with anyone. Yeah, there's the Slick Six, but I still don't believe that alliance is really as solid as it is. I think if Janelle and Kaser weren't there, Davon and Bailey would be in huge trouble.
This whole meeting was very, very fun to watch. It was also just like watching somebody deciding all of a sudden that they had the right recipe to learn how human beings were going to sprout wings. It's like, that it's never going to happen, but you're going to kind of enjoy the journey that tries to get you somewhere. The moment,
like the pony I'm never going to get?
Yeah, just like the pony. And the moment that Janelle and Kaser left the room on this meeting, everybody else was just kind of like, yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, and I mean, we all kind of knew, and I mean, Janelle, I'm sure, and Kaser knew to some degree that this really wasn't going to work. If people were being this shady about stuff, getting them all in a room together wasn't going to change anything.
And I think one of the big problems that's kind of stemming from all of this is the insistence that Memphis is going to break the tie in favor of sending David out, where a lot of these other people, they're not hearing a lot of vocalization from Memphis about this, and why are they going to believe what Janelle and Kaser are saying here? And I think Nicole Anthony has even brought this up smartly, when Janelle and Kaser were apparently so unaware about what Memphis was going to do and his intentions with Nicole Anthony on some level. It's like the trust there isn't really correlating, that all of a sudden now Janelle and Kaser really have the inner connection to Memphis's brain.
Yeah, and I get where Janelle and Kaser are kind of with that. Yeah, they got surprised with the Nicole Anthony of it all, but he protected them and he didn't put them on the block. He didn't backdoor them. She does feel like she has an airway with him to be able to actually talk to him and bend his ear a little bit. And I get why she feels like that. That makes sense that she would feel like that. But we all know that Memphis can just do whatever he wants to do. And that's the interesting part of it too, because I could see that if Memphis was the tiebreaker, yeah, he knows his alliance wants to get rid of Nicole Anthony, but he wants to get rid of David, I think, more so because he feels that David hasn't proven himself yet, and he needs to prove himself, and it's an all-stars, and he shouldn't be here, so here's the door. So there's part of me that wonders if he really would just keep Nicole Anthony anyways. He just doesn't care what his alliance wants.
Yeah, and I think that has been proven throughout the week. I just think he feels like he's probably not going to be in that situation, and he's right, because Christmas especially isn't going to be into doing that. I was kind of surprised. One of the things she even said to a lot of these other people and the aftermath of this meeting is just like, yeah, I feel like I'm in pretty good with the other side of the house. Why am I going to then just anger all of them by turning on them at this point?
So this is where Danny comes in. So Danny overheard a lot of this meeting, or some of this meeting,
yeah.
And then was, saying that now she doesn't really trust Davon. She doesn't really trust Bailey because they're part of this meeting with Janelle. And so now that is really coming down on them. And I'm pretty worried about them going into this next HOH.
Yeah, it already felt like Davon especially was sort of being set up as the next possible, okay, we have to take her out. Like after Janelle and Kaser are split up, like maybe Davon and Bailey would be split up at that point. And that's the thing about these meetings. We should all know from the great Cliff Notes debacle of last season that people may be listening in if you're too loud. You gotta be aware of this.
Yeah, and I get that maybe the backyard wasn't open or available because that's really the best place.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody's coming in from the sides or behind. You can go all the way to the back. You can watch the door. You can see what's happening. I mean, it just sucks that this has happened because then it puts everybody in a really weird spot in this next HOH because they know that Janelle and Kaser are people who are coming after them. The unknown of Davon and Bailey, if they're really with them or not with them, can they trust them, can they not trust them, and not knowing where they actually land is equally as dangerous in my opinion.
Paranoia can eat people alive, and paranoia towards Davon and Bailey, Danny's already starting to spiral a little bit with that. She's seemingly having a tough time. It's her and her daughter's birthday, like that's something that's clearly getting to her as well. I think outside the game stuff can impact you inside the game, and
of course,
it could only get bad to worse there, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so.
So the other thing here, and I'll give Nicole Anthony some credit with this because we have been very hard on her for the last few days, and understandably so because
she's been hard on herself.
Yeah, she has done, really, that's the thing. It's kind of hard to criticize her now when she's basically been her own worst critic, but she did, I think, do a good job of articulating one of the biggest reasons to get rid of David, and she said this to multiple people, that if David feels as good as David does about where he stands, about having the numbers, that's probably because he has a really big alliance, and if you're not aware of that, guess what? You're probably not in that alliance. Nicole Anthony knows this very well from last season.
It is such a solid argument, and it's very true, and I mean, the problem is I still just don't think that the amount of people that she has to be able to talk to and use this as an argument, there just isn't enough people because everyone's in that alliance to some degree.
It's a good idea to put it out there. It's just Janelle, Kaser, Nicole Anthony, Kevin, they're too in the dark about some other numbers out there, and that's why this isn't going to work. I mean, there was even another pitch made at Ian, and Ian kind of said that he was like 40 to 45% interested in keeping Nicole Anthony, but I think people just realize, we can get rid of Nicole Anthony, we can keep her other numbers, and if we still need people like Janelle and Kaser and Kevin moving forward, they're still there. Like, they're not all being evicted this week.
But Nicole Anthony, she probably is being evicted this week.
Yeah, that feels like that is probably going to happen.
And then it's going to be really interesting about what's going to be coming up. We talked a little bit about this, that the next HOH seems like it's kind of the crapshoot competition where It's like throw a beanbag somewhere or, shoot a ball in the air and see what number it lands in. It feels like one of those that's coming up because they had a little bit of practice time. But, that practice time doesn't ever seem, you're not all of a sudden like the beanbag champion.
Yeah, plus, it may be something like, oh, you practice throwing a beanbag? Now this challenge is spin around 800 times while reciting 8 articles of the Constitution or something, and then, you don't know exactly what it's going to be. And we'll get to our HOH predictions later on in the day, but, for now, I think it's pretty clear to Janelle and Kaser that, these other people that claim they're kind of with them, they'll jump ship on them. If they have to, they need to win this.
It's going to be a very interesting day, I think, mostly for Davon and Bailey to sort of, if they hear even a little bit of wind that Danny has heard, that whole conversation, because nothing's really staying a secret here. I mean, it really is, everybody's talking in this game. So it's probably going to get back to them maybe today, maybe tomorrow. They might be able to hold this secret until after the HOH. I don't know. But I'm pretty worried about them going forward.
Yeah, there's reason for concern. There's just a lot of unknown today. Other than that, Nicole Anthony is probably going. But we'll be back later to discuss more from the live feeds, the last stuff before the show airs tonight. So, for now, what do you think about Nicole Anthony's last second campaign? Is there anything that you would do if you were her? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we will see you here next time.